And investors are asking, what is the way forward from here? Now, this is why we are here. Welcome to Clockwise Live. And today we'll be analyzing the 2026 half-year reports. Where will investors look from here? Now, I'm not doing this alone. I have my stock market analyst that is here, and we'll be doing this together. Now, with a resounding virtual round of applause, welcome, Mr. Kanem. Welcome to Clockwise.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's nice having you once again. You see, at the beginning of this year, 2026, we had a lot of expectations, a lot of anticipations. Yes. Now, we have seen the half-year report of most companies. From your own analysis, are you satisfied or you are dissatisfied with what you've seen so far?
I am satisfied. Some names have actually done very well. Some names have done very poorly. Some names have also sprung surprises in terms of their reports. Okay. Especially in the oil and gas sector, because, I mean, for obvious reasons, some of them posted numbers that when you look at, it's almost like in the movies, really. So it's been a very good earnings season, especially coming off of June. That was such a red month. Got a lot of people into panic. But with the numbers that are coming in, we are getting some level of reassurance that
all right.
The market is.
We actually talked about a few of those reports in our last week. Now, let's see if we can look at the ones that came out newly.
So I'll start from the oil and gas sector. So we talk about Seplat. Seplat brought up some very good numbers. So if I'm to look at it, revenue, the top line actually grew by 15.46%. Moving from 2.16 trillion all the way to 2.502 trillion naira. Then you have gross profit, which did from 751 billion to 1.12 trillion. Obviously, we know why this is the case. If we look at operating profits, we did about 50%, 49.22%. We're taking it from 601.18 billion to 901 billion. So operating profit for me is very important. I've always said it because it tells the operational expenditure minus the revenue, the top line minus the operational expenditure. Gave us grew by 49% year on year. That is, or if you look at half year of 2025, compare that to this half year report, that has grown by 50%.
So that's a very nice one. At this point.
It's very nice, but if you look at what is even more mind-boggling, if you look at the profit after tax, look at profit before tax is 454. It moved from 454 billion to 790, which is about 74%. But watch this. Profit after tax did a 430%. So the bottom line went from 42.519 billion all the way to, you ready, 225.4 billion. That for me is an insane return, 430% really. Then again, one of the things would also interest you would be the earnings per share that moved, that has done 487%, moved from 62.19 to 365. You can literally take out. If you subtract the earnings last year, earnings per share of last year from the end, you still have 303.
Now let's look at the price action and see what is happening.
So this is so the fact is this is Seplat. Seplat has had a very serious run if you look at it because of what happened, the oil and gas, the conflict in the Middle East, and as stock, for obvious reasons. Apart from the fact that it takes a lot to really move the price, as we already know, even though the NGX has kind of moderated the amount of lot you need to buy, the amount of shares you need to buy to move a price. But Seplat remains a very, very strong name. A very strong name. And I want to show you something. If you look at, because beyond the consolidated, that is what I just told you was a consolidated income statement. But beyond that, I'm always interested in looking at the balance sheet too. The balance sheet is very good. Equity stands at 2.56 trillion. That is what we call shareholder fund, and then as they are sitting on 598 billion in cash. That's insane, really. But one of the things I feel more excited about is the fact that look at their book value, 4,267. So we are literally like we are literally like roughly 3x. The stock is trading at 3x its book value. But what is even more interesting is that the PE ratio of Seplat is 15.5 times. If you compare that with Aradel, let's pull Aradel up, and I want to show you. Aradel is trading at, you ready, 21.58 times.
Okay.
So Seplat is at 11,000.
Yeah.
Aradel is 1,500. Normally, and by the way, there was a comment someone made about assets being, or stock prices being expensive
for newbies.
For newbies. Example, Seplat and Aradel present perfect example that Seplat is cheaper. Is cheaper
That's why
than Aradel. Even this one is 11,000, the other one is 1,500. But Seplat is cheaper than Aradel. You know why? Because 1 unit or 1 naira of earnings of Seplat, you pay 15 naira 50 kobo.
Okay.
Or 55 kobo. But for 1 naira earning of Aradel, you pay 21 naira 58 kobo. So that is cheaper. So you can see that Aradel, so Seplat is cheaper than Aradel. So it is something that our guests have to be very wary of. So you know what we mean by.
So at this point now, do you actually advise, although we don't give financial advice, do you actually advise someone to buy into this particular rally?
So this has been a blowout quarter. And then what I would say is I still expect a higher upside for Seplat. I still expect higher upside for Seplat. I know from a technical standpoint, there is no way you would want to enter. This looks like an Empire State Building, actually. There's no way you would advise someone to enter this position. But when you look at names, you actually ask, if you are to place between Seplat and Aradel, which one should you buy? That would be a question. And I will tell you, based on the numbers I just reeled off, Seplat is a better name to buy. You are buying Seplat. Seplat is cheaper than Aradel. Okay. Forget about the price action, really. Look at the fundamentals. Look at what Seplat has posted. Very strong reports. Very strong. If you look at if you look at for Aradel, look at the for across board, Aradel's book value is 500. It is trading at over 3 times book value. Okay. Whereas Seplat is roughly almost 3 times book value. So from even the book value perspective, from the price to earnings ratio, you see that Seplat is cheaper than Aradel.
Let's look at another one.
Okay, so let's look. We also want to look at MTN. We have not looked at MTN. So let's look at MTN and the price action. MTN is a name that you can't.
They've actually shown that they are the big boys of the NGX.
It's the second largest company on the NGX. So now, MTN, let's look at, take a look at the numbers so we can get ourselves we understand what MTN is, where MTN is. Okay, so if you look at for MTN Nigeria, if you look at the revenue, the top line, 25.9%. Moving from 2.37 to 2.99 trillion. Operating profit 41%. But what is very stunning is that profit before tax is 75.4%, while profit after tax is 70.6%, taking it from 414.8 billion to 707 billion billion naira. So that is a strong company. I've always told you, you cannot build a portfolio. I think we've said on the podcast a number of times, you can't build a portfolio of NGX stocks without putting it. This is a name that posted very strong earnings earnings last year, recovering from the FX debacle, FX liquidity challenges, it shows you that this is not a fry in the pan, but it is something that is sustainable. That is why I would tell you that MTN is look at even the earnings per share. The earnings per share grew from 19.8 naira to 33.76 naira. 70.5% jump in the earnings.
Okay.
Even if you told the line, for people like me that are value investors, they told the line of the share price, you will realize that you will be sitting on 81.96%.
Now, I could remember the last podcast we had.
Yes.
We actually advised newbies to the market to actually invest in MTN.
Yes.
Now, at this point, somebody complained about the price. At this point. Now, what would you advise a newbie to do, although you're not giving investment advice?
Okay. So let me give you something to think about. I want to, because when we talk about valuation and we talk about whether something is expensive or not, you always want to look at, compare within the same industry. If you go to Airtel, I'm coming back to MTN, but let me show you something. If you go to Airtel, for example, because Airtel Africa is a direct competition to MTN. So Airtel Africa is so look at Airtel Africa. Airtel Africa did a very serious run-up.
Yes.
And at this point, Airtel Africa is trading at 22 times earnings. 22 times earnings. But MTN, at the figure we gave to you, at that 837 naira, 845 naira, is trading at, you ready? 12 times earnings, 12.4 times earnings. One is trading at almost 23 times earnings, 22.9 times earnings. Another is trading at 12 times earnings. Which one do you think is cheaper? As in literally almost half as cheap.
Yes.
MTN is almost half as cheap. But you've seen the run-up with Airtel Africa. So what does that tell you? It tells you that we are looking at a very undervalued stock. Look at the equity for MTN. 931 billion. And then the cash at hand is 459 billion. So what that tells you is that this company is strong. This company is cash rich. So they are not encumbered by debt obligations. So much debt obligation because they have a lot of cash, a lot of free cash that they could use to service their debt and even possibly do a buyback. Book value, if you look at from the book value, you realize that Airtel Africa is insane. MTN's book value is 44 naira. And then if you look at the book value, you see that it is trading at maybe roughly 20 times book value. So that is compared to Airtel, which has is close to 30 in terms of book value, tells you that MTN is cheaper than Airtel. So MTN, I still believe, is an undervalued stock. So even with this price action, which might make you to think that it's risky to enter into MTN, I still think that MTN is I still think that there's a lot of things for MTN. This for me is it's going to. By the way, the fair value of MTN is 1,150 from analysts. The analyst community believe it's 1,150, and we are still sitting at 845. What that tells you, it tells you that MTN still has a lot of room to run. From here. Okay. So it is. I think I would tell him, even if you're a newbie investor, even if you don't have up to 800, at least you should have up to 845 naira, 45 naira. Buy, even if it's just one MTN stock. Okay. Just buy one MTN stock and then you'll be good for it. Okay. MTN is a name that, analysts are even, from the projections, the forward PE of MTN could collapse to as low as 11 times earnings. Okay. While Airtel is projected to collapse to about 15.5 times earnings. So you now realize that even at projected earnings, price to earnings ratio, MTN is still cheaper than Airtel. So I think MTN for me is a buy.
Okay. Number 3 is what?
So the next one we want to look at would be, let's take a look at let's dive a little bit and go to a lot of us actually don't like to talk about the pharmaceuticals. So I think we have not even mentioned pharmaceuticals, but pharmaceuticals are defensives. Yeah. So it's important that we talk about it. Yeah. So speaking of which, we want to consider NIMET Pharmaceuticals. The earnings were not as impressive as it could be in terms of they are defenses, by the way, so you don't expect it to be as explosive as what you have for the oil and gas, the telecoms and all of that. Marginally, I think the 8%, and then the share price 4%. But importantly, the top line actually still did 25.95% return. This is more, for me, this is more like a defensive play. Healthcare stocks, consumer staples, these are defensive stocks. If you look at this, the numbers here, then it was very, very modest. Profit before tax did 3.1%, while profit after tax did 1.91%. So NIMET was
it's the current price. The current price.
The current price. I think the current price should be. There was a run up post announcement. So look, if you look at it, you'll see there was this run up post announcement up to, I think it has done about 8.4% just on the day. So this is. But even at that, I'm still looking at opportunities in this name. But you don't expect such a blowout.
Where are your limit orders?
Obviously, you can tell where my limit orders are. My limit orders are here, crowd around here. Okay. And then we also have, but I still believe that NIMET has some room to run. But as a defensive stock, you are not leaning so much to a stock that is going to rally so much. Mm-hmm. You are really leaning to a stock that would ensure that your portfolio remains stabilized. Okay. So very quickly, let's look at.
All right. Before then, please, this is Clockwise Live. Now we are here to do a technical analysis of the first half of most companies, the first half of their earnings report. Now you're free to join us by dropping any question in the comment section, and we're going to respond to it on the spot. Thank you very much. It's Clockwise. So the next one will be what? Okay,
the next one will be a name that a lot of us actually, patronize, which is Tantalizers. So Tantalizers did its earnings. I just thought about the fact that I eat at Tantalizers a number of times, and I was like, okay, let me look at how this company has been performing. Yeah. The company has, for those of us that have been, it's for me, it's a turnaround play. Okay. Tantalizers last year was always, when you talk about losses, the synonym for losses was Tantalizers. So, but
you said that.
But that's actually the reality, because if you look at the operating profit for last year, it was down by 47 million naira. Even their profit before tax and profit after tax were down by 25 million naira. So for me, it's a turnaround for them to post a profit after tax of 45 million naira. That's a turnaround play for me. For them to even post a revenue of 1.8 billion as against 1.3 billion, that's also a turnaround. Gross profit ticked up to 289 million, all the way from 205 million. In fact, if you look at the operating profit, everything was actually negative. Even their earnings per share was just, was just 1 kobo. 1 kobo. And in fact, it wasn't even 1 kobo. That 1 kobo is actually an approximation. It was less than, it was, they were down by 1 kobo. Now, what they have even gotten, according to their earnings, is about 1 kobo, about 0.9 kobo, really.
Are they doing good?
So you realize that this is not something that is as impressive as you could think. The only thing that is impressive for Tantalizers, and I don't know, I mean, if you look at this, it's kind of puzzling. So let's see what we have for this name. So thing that is good for you would say for Tantalizers, that the price has actually had a very decent run. If you look at, you see that, look at 2025. If you look at half year of 2025, at this point, look at where it was, and then look at where it was. It has actually done 93.75%.
Okay.
So if, for me, who is not so much eager about dividends, I think this would have been a good investment for me.
Okay.
But for you, who is a dividend guy, this would have been a disaster.
Very wrong. No, very wrong. I will not even come here.
A disaster for you.
I will not come here.
So, food sometimes plays as defensives.
And pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceutical defensives. Consumer staples, utilities, they are all defensives because these are things that people need. Whether we're in a bull market or we're in the bear market, people need all of these.
Okay.
So for me, this is this is a name that maybe I could consider, but I would still need the price to come back and test this previous support because as you can see, it's not been tested.
Okay.
So I would need it to come back and test this before I look at
That's 2.0.
between 2.9 and then maybe around 1.8.
Okay.
So I would want to see that happen before I can take a buy position.
All right. Now take the last one before we actually take comments.
So the last one will be Nestle. Nestle. I think we've talked about Nestle on this channel. So Nestle actually did some modest report. Nestle did in terms of top line, they did 12% from 581 billion to 650 billion. What is also interesting is that they did profit before tax did a 43%, moving from 88 billion to 126 billion. That was not. The profit after tax was not as much as that because it only did 28%, moving from 50.5 to 64 billion. The same thing, so the earnings per share also moved, much like the profit after tax, did 28.09%, moving from 63.8 to 81.72%. So for me, Nestle represents a
defensive,
a very serious defensive name. But if you look at, and then something that is also interesting is that Nestle had, they had the book value. I'm looking at the book value now. If you look at Nestle, is about 98 naira in book value, and then the price of Nestle is about 2,000. The price of Nestle is about 2,800. So if you look at that, that's about 28 times book value. So it's not the cheapest stock you could look at. And the PE ratio is sitting at around 17.21.
So it's not a good time to actually.
So it's if you are looking defensive, then you might want to consider this stock. The cash they had was just 5.6 billion. So for me, if you want to be very objective, I would say maybe look at this as a defensive play
for a long time,
not as a growth play. Because if you look at the book value, I think the book value is overextended.
All right, now let's take some questions. Somebody asked, the first question is, any idea on why banks like Zenith, UBA, and Access are yet to release their H1 results? I understand they can also get fined by NGX. Is that true?
No. So these banks that you are mentioning, they don't like to release unaudited report. They release only audited report, and it takes time. Okay. So what that means is whatever they release is final.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why we expect them to start releasing later this month.
Okay. Somebody's asking again: is it okay to sell my UBA and buy UCAP since I have already have Zenith and Jitco? We don't give investment advice, but just
no. So we have not heard from UBA yet.
Yes.
So the fact is, we have heard from United Capital. We've not heard from UBA yet. So you don't want to make a decision before we actually hear. You cannot really give a very precise make a precise decision on this matter because we've not heard from UBA yet.
Okay. All right. Now, before we go, I'd like to ask you, what is wrong with what is happening? Not wrong. What is happening to First Holdco? So why are they pushing so hard?
No. So First Holdco, you have to understand that First Holdco is the Otedola has continued to make purchases. dumped in just a month 222 billion naira to buy the stock. So you're talking about a company. I mean, by the way, the Pharmaceuticals did about 131% in the month of July. So
they're now 6 trillion.
Over 6 trillion in market capitalization.
The first finance.
Yes, it's the highest. Zenith Bank actually was the first to get to 5 trillion, but Pharmaceuticals has overtaken them. So, and they're even doing an offer. 10.4 billion shares.
So looking for 1 trillion, 1.4 trillion.
1.4 trillion, that's what they are looking at. So for me, this is what we call a high conviction play. Let me tell you why. Whenever you see insiders buying a stock, it's almost always correct that they know something that you don't know. Otedola has been buying, literally crossed 20, got up to 30, up to 25. Move is, in fact, some analysts believe is a high majority share, which is 55%, 51% of the company. So nominally, that should tell them. By the way, if you look at the fact that the offer opened yesterday, which was 3rd of August, and then the impact on price action is almost completely muted. Let's look at Pharmaceuticals. The impact is almost completely muted. So now look at Pharmaceuticals. Now, who would tell me that? Let me go to the daily so you appreciate this. Who would tell me that for a company that is floating 10.4 billion shares, you would have just this very marginal? By the way, on the day, we are only flat on the day. If you look at this, 0.14%. So we are literally flat on the day for a name that is on public offer. Normally, what you would see is that when public offer, a company floats shares, especially because as you know, they are floating at 110 naira per share, which is a serious discount to the current price point. So for me, this is actually, investors are very keen on this because of the fact that this buy is coming from no other than the chairman of the bank.
All right, although we don't give investment advice and we have reiterated it every time, but somebody is asking here, what's your thoughts on NACO and TIP? Are they good stocks to go?
Okay, so let us
for educational purpose.
For educational purpose, obviously. So let us look at this. Let us look at this. For some reason, I'm going to say this generally. For some reason, we are not. There's a reason why we veer so much towards some names that are within a particular space. Sorry.
HCO.
So sorry, I made that. So there are some reasons why we look at names within some sectors. If you look at, this is a handling company. You also have there are a few handling companies, and we talked about. I remember there was an edition we did on logistics. Now, there's something that I want us to understand. Most times, certain seasons are not very good for aviation handling or logistic companies. But if you look at purely from price action, let me go to the weekly so you understand what we're talking about. If you look at purely from price action, you would see something here. I mean, it is very obvious where the price is going to. If I'm to put in a buy position here, this is actually a strong name if you ask me, really. It's a strong name if you ask me, but at least my first point of call would be below 118. But of course, the juicy points, as you already know, I always target demand zones. Demand zones because this is where buyers are most likely going to step in to defend the price action. So really, we've seen exactly, this is, I expect this price to take out this, at least to take out this low. And then possibly targets to fill this. And then ultimately, if we are getting into August, it's always a lull period for the markets because a lot of people will be going for holidays and all of this, and so you don't expect so much activity after the earnings. You don't expect so much activity. The only time we expect much activity will be maybe in the month of September. But for this, the name for this name, it depends on where you enter this name. But for this name, I still expect some downward price action. But I believe it's going to take up, because if you look at I'm thinking purely technical. If you look at this run up and where that all of this started, then you realize that if anything brings the price down to this point, then that would be an insane buy opportunity for institutional investors. So I expect the price to most likely take out this high.
Okay.
So I would then consider this as what we call an inducement. But that's all for technicals at this point. But I think this is still a good name.
CIP.
Okay.
CIP.
So if you look at this, then you just a moment. So yeah. So I'm going to speak purely from technical point. I would still be targeting the 20 naira mark. I'll be targeting the 20 naira mark to actually take a position, because it's not. This is a very, very healthy price action, if you ask me. But I'll be targeting the 20 naira mark to take a position. If for any reason it gets beyond that, because I'm also seeing some imbalances actually down, I'll be targeting this particular demand zone to take my ultimate buy. And I still believe, if you look at this, it is still at a premium range. If you look at from the range coming from here to here, then you see that this is not within the discounted region. So I still expect the price action to come at least below 20, below this. I'm expecting to take out this, maybe tap into the. At this point, it will be below the equilibrium. So this is a not really allocating to this name if you are not already in the
19.25.
Looking at maybe around 12.
All right. Now we've done justice to this conversation. And what do you have to say finally? So, especially from those that we are yet to see their earnings.
Yeah. So we are still very, 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 very hopeful for, names like the Fugas. It's only one that has actually brought out a report.
Yeah.
So the names like, we still expect UBA, we still expect GTCO, we still expect Access, and we still expect Zenith Bank to bring out results. And of course, if these results show up, then we'll be able to know what to do and how to allocate.
Okay.
But I want investors to be very wary. Announcements are coming in. MTN has announced September for payment, and then qualification date by August. I want us to understand that you might want to make a decision. If you want to get that entry, then you have to balance your risk. Meaning, what are you looking at? Are you looking at dividend yield, or are you looking at return on capital? Because the total, I had said that before now, and this is not just for MTN, but for any other name, that especially names that will want to pay dividends. You don't want to buy at a premium price just to hunt for a dividend. You don't want to buy a stock that is already at 100 naira and then just to hunt for a dividend of 5 naira. Only for you to sell at 80 naira.
Okay.
Because that is actually a loss on your part.
All right.
So if you are going into a name, don't just be driven by dividends, but look for names that have very strong fundamentals. Names that you know that whatever happens, names like Dangote Cement, names like MTN, names like Zenith Bank, names. Those names, you know that whatever happens, they will still, if there's a recovery rally, they will be ahead of that rally. So you are sure that even if you buy the top, you are still going to be in profit later on.
All right. Thank you very much. You've done justice. We're going to see you again on Friday.
Yeah, thank you.
Notes, we've come to the end of today's episode of Clockwise Live. Now, whatever we do here is not investment advice, it's strictly for educational purpose. Now, before you invest, you have to do your personal research, or you speak to your financial advisor personally before you invest in any of the assets. Now, this is Clockwise Live, and we do this every time. We'll be here again on Friday to do more analysis. There's always a bull market somewhere. and we are here to help you find it. And if you want to join our community, if you go to our profile page now, you see a link to our Telegram community that leads you straight to our community where we can actually have close conversation and real-time conversation about what is happening in the stock market. My name is Providence. I'll see you again.